Welcome back, everyone. Today we're jumping right into part 4 of our explainer on machine learning for IT professionals. This is the 10-part advanced tutorial put together by the great folks at Virtualization Options LLC, that Colorado-based research and advisory group we've been following. Now, in Chapter 4, we're completely stripping away the basic theory. We are talking purely about the infrastructure realities of machine learning. If you're out there managing networks, wrangling servers, or keeping cloud environments afloat, this is exactly what you need to know to actually operationalize intelligence at scale.
So, here's our pipeline for this chapter. We'll start with the ML shift in IT, cover the algorithms you absolutely must know, look at data as your new infrastructure, dive into feature engineering, peek under the hood at training, and wrap up with some high-impact real-world IT use cases. Let's get to it. Section 1. The ML shift in IT, moving from explicit rules to dynamic patterns.
Okay, for decades, your traditional IT systems ran on rules-based explicit logic, right? You write a rule, the system executes it. Boom, done. But we're in the middle of a massive shift to data-driven ML. These modern systems actually learn from data to detect anomalies, predict failures, and automate decisions at a scale human operators literally cannot match. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's already running right under the hood in your AI ops platforms, your spam filters, and your cloud autoscaling.
And I love this point from Chapter 4. Data scientists can build the most incredible algorithms on the planet, but IT professionals, you are the deployment, infrastructure, and reliability layer. Without your expertise in scaling and keeping things online, these models are just expensive math experiments. They are completely useless in the real world without you. You are the operational engine here.
Section 2. Algorithms you must know. These are the core ML engines.
We'll kick things off with supervised learning. This type trains exclusively on labeled data to predict outcomes. Because it relies on clearly categorized historical data to teach the system what to look for, it's absolutely fantastic for your predictable bread-and-butter IT tasks. Think log classification or catching known fraud signatures.
On the flip side, we have unsupervised learning. This operates entirely without labels. It basically sifts through massive mountains of raw data to find hidden patterns, totally on its own. So naturally, this becomes your go-to for catching completely unknown network anomalies or clustering weird traffic spikes, simply because it doesn't need you to predefine what an attack looks like.
Then there's reinforcement learning. This one is super cool because it learns dynamically through continuous reward and penalty loops. You're going to see this specific algorithm increasingly powering the newest self-healing IT systems, not to mention handling all that highly complex adaptive resource allocation across sprawling cloud environments.
Now, sitting underneath those learning types are the actual models themselves: decision trees, random forests, support vector machines, and neural networks. As an IT pro, you've got to remember that each of these brings totally distinct compute loads, memory demands, and interpretability trade-offs to your environment. A deep neural network is going to tax your GPUs in a fundamentally different way than a standard decision tree.
Section 3. Data is your new infrastructure. The golden rule here is garbage in, garbage out.
You have to start treating your data pipelines exactly like production systems. There are 3 absolutely critical pre-processing steps you need to take to avoid corrupting your models. First, maintain rigorous data quality by fixing missing values and wiping out duplicates. Second, normalization and encoding, which basically means staring numerical features so the underlying math actually works. And third, setting up strict train, validation, and test splits.
Speaking of those splits, the gold standard is typically 70-15-15. That means 70% of your data goes to training, 15% is for validation tuning, and that final 15% is locked away strictly for evaluation. This separation is non-negotiable. If you let your test data touch your training set, you cause data leakage. It's the silent killer of ML models. The model will essentially just memorize the test answers, it'll look like a genius in staging, and then completely fall on its face in production.
Section 4. Feature engineering, turning raw noise into actual signal. First up is feature selection. By actively stripping out all the irrelevant or redundant variables from your datasets, you're directly optimizing that model. You're making it leaner, computationally much faster, and ultimately a whole lot more accurate, just by cutting through the noise. Next is feature creation. This step is where you really get to expose hidden patterns the model might miss otherwise. A perfect IT example here is transforming raw, isolated log timestamps into a really actionable metric like requests per second. You're taking raw input and deriving new, highly meaningful variables from it.
Finally, we have dimensionality reduction. Look, when you're dealing with massive network packet features, you end up with high-dimensional data that can instantly choke your system. Techniques like PCA and TSNE compress this data down while preserving its underlying variance. Think of it as acting very similarly to traditional IT load balancing. It ensures you maintain critical performance metrics even when you're operating at massive scale.
Section 5. Let's pop the hood and see what training actually looks like.
Model training relies entirely on this continuous four-step loop: predict, measure, adjust, and repeat. It's a simple but incredibly powerful cycle. It's the beating heart of how an algorithm actually learns. The system makes a prediction, measures the error against the actual data, tweaks its internal weights, and then repeats that exact process millions of times until it's fully optimized.
Now, it is vital that you understand the distinction between parameters and hyperparameters. Parameters are the things the model actually learns internally during that training loop. But hyperparameters, things like learning rate, tree depth, or epochs, those are set entirely by you. You are squarely in the driver's seat using hyperparameters to dictate exactly how fast and how deep that model learns.
And you've got to monitor that learning carefully to avoid two huge traps. Overfit models are ones that have just memorized the training data. They'll instantly fail the second they hit the unpredictability of a production environment. Underfit models, meanwhile, just fail to learn the patterns at all. This is exactly why you have to use regularization techniques, things like L1, L2, or dropout, to force your models to actually generalize what they've learned.
Section 6. Real-world IT use cases. Let's talk about real-world impact. Consider this specific metric from the tutorial. By training machine learning models on server telemetry, we're talking CPU usage, disk I/O, thermal data, you can achieve a massive 24 to 72-hour predictive maintenance window. You can actually foresee and mitigate a catastrophic hardware failure days before it takes down a node. Think about what a game changer that is for uptime. Furthermore, over in the realm of operations, deploying natural language processing models to instantly parse through millions of complex log lines can rapidly surface root causes during a major outage. In production environments, this capability has been proven to dramatically slash mean time to recovery by up to 60%.
But there's a catch. All of this power comes with a very strict operational caveat. I want to leave you with this provocative thought straight from Chapter 4 of the tutorial. A model deployed without monitoring is a model you've already lost control of. Data shifts, environments change, and over time, models degrade. So the big question you have to ask yourself is, as you transition your infrastructure to this data-driven paradigm, are you fully prepared to monitor the intelligence you're about to deploy?